strikeouts in a game. 20. Swung on and driven to deep left. It was hard. Nice score. It's tied. Yankees win. Yankees win. Bernie Williams homers deep in the left field seat to lead off the 11th inning on a one-run finish. And the Yankees beat the Orioles 5-4 to win Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Burn, baby, burn. He's done it again.
There it goes! It's a history! He's done it! He has done it! 62! Aaron Judge is the American League single-season home run leader! The AL King! Case closed!
What is going on, baseball fans? We are back at it once again, covering the state of the franchise from championship glory to rebuilding years. Every team has a story. For Dave and I am Jeremy Laracuente here of the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And today, the team that we are discussing is the Arizona Diamondbacks. And joining us is Rick Hughes. What's going on, Rick?
Just another day in paradise.
Absolutely. So, as we begin this series, we like to kind of jump in and kind of look retrospectively at 2024. So, kind of what were your gut reactions to the 2024 campaign?
Pain. At one point or another, every rotation member spent significant time on the IL. And then when you fast forward to the end of September and we lose a postseason possibility by one game, it just hurts. The only constant we had in the rotation for most of the first half was Jordan Montgomery, and we really don't want to discuss that, do we? Did not have a good season.
No, not at all. Not at all. As we kind of look into the upcoming season, there were quite a bit of acquisitions made by the Diamondbacks this offseason. Obviously, most notably Corbin Burns, replacing the loss of Christian Walker with Josh Naylor. Kendall Graveman just got picked up. Randall Grichuk signing. Kind of what was the biggest move and the one that you're most looking forward to going into the 2025 campaign?
I'd like to say Burns, but he's a constant. It doesn't matter if he's pitching in Milwaukee, Baltimore, or now in Arizona. You know what you're going to get out of it. The one I'm really looking forward to is Graveman. The Diamondbacks are missing that truly experienced piece at the back end of the bullpen. Whether he's going to close or not remains to be seen. But if he's healthy, that's a pretty important piece to have in that bullpen, which at times was an issue, shall we say. When Seawald kind of faltered, there was a little bit of confusion back in the back end of the bullpen. I really hope that Graveman can fill that.
Definitely, for sure. He's a good guy to have towards the back end of that pen.
And he's solid. He's nothing spectacular. He's not going to make anything jump off at you, but he gets the job done. And with the defense he'd have behind him with the Diamondbacks now, I think he's going to be set up for a pretty good season if that shoulder helps out.
So, with some of the major injury concerns, what player do you think is the most questionable in terms of your team's injury potentials?
Oh, the whole season hinges on Ketel Marte. He's been healthy the last two seasons, and for the most part. He was down a little bit towards the end of last season. If he's healthy, this team's going to go far. If he falters, goes down with another hamstring, and is out for an extended period of time, that's some trouble. Really don't have a replacement for him anywhere in the system. So as he goes, the Diamondbacks are going to go.
definitely. He has been a very important piece, and to me, one of the more under players in Major League Baseball over the last several years, for sure. The next kind of section that we like to look at here is the 2025 X Factor, and who do you believe is going to be kind of that breakout piece for the Diamondbacks, or someone that's going to be kind of where the team hinges?
This one's very, very easy. One of the biggest losses the Diamondbacks had was losing the left-handed side of their DH platoon when Jock Peterson signed with the Rangers, which good for Jock, but boy, that was no good. Pavin Smith has shown flashes throughout his career, but never really locked in as a solid contributor. Now, last season, he made some swing adjustments. In the first half, he was running an 829 OPS. Then came the second half of the season. I don't know where this came from, but he jumped up to a 939. If he's anywhere in between the two of those, they're not going to miss Jock at all. But if he goes back to the Pavin pre 2024, that's a big hole. He's got to step up and do the job. There's no question.
Yeah, definitely. I think that for me, in kind of examining this particular team, this series, the acquisition of Josh Naylor to me is going to play very big. As you mentioned, the loss of Christian Walker could potentially loom large if Naylor doesn't have a good season. It's also his walk year, so it's going to be a guy who's going to be, having a lot of eyes on him in terms of what he does this season. So, heading into this season, to me, Josh Naylor's is kind of going to be that X factor, someone to be able to protect a guy like Ketel Marte, and what he's able to do. So, to me, looking at this team, I think Josh Naylor plays a big, big role in what this team does.
He does, but truthfully, he's never had protection in the lineup like he's going to have here in Arizona. The biggest question with him is going to be how can he replace or come close to replacing what Walker was in the field, because I think the bat's really going to play. But losing a Gold Glove first baseman, I think 1 year he's a Platinum Glove. That's a loss.
Yeah, I agree for sure. When you look now, kind of leading into the future of this potential team, the top prospect listed by MLB.com is your shortstop, Jordan Lawler. What do you have in terms of your thoughts about him, and where he could potentially land in his projection towards Major League Baseball?
Jordan Lawler is now a man without a position. The Diamondbacks extended Perdomo. He's going to be here another 5 years. The one spot that they have where Lawler may fit, it should fit actually, is third base. Eugenio Suarez is a free agent at the end of the year. Whether they're going to try to bring him back remains to be seen. But that would open up a pretty big hole for Lawler to step in and fill. He's got the pop. He's got the glove. I think his arm can play at third base, but it's going to be interesting what they do with him moving forward. Is he a left fielder? We have our outfield is heavily left-handed. Putting his right-handed stick out there could help. We've got 1 more year of Gurriel. I mean, it's a little iffy with where he's going to end up. But he's a talent. That kid can play. Just where?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a big thing for his development as to where the Diamondbacks actually see his future. Now, as we kind of go through this series, we do like to kind of jump in and ask kind of a bold prediction for the team in the upcoming season. So, what's kind of your bold prediction for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Hold your breath, guys. I think they take the division. I think
That
the
is a
Dodgers will have so many additions this year, and as anybody knows, if you go through history, particularly the guy wearing a Yankee hat, when you have a bunch of people jump in, it either goes really well or there's a transition period. I'm counting on a transition period. how do you keep, what is it, 12 starting pitchers happy?
Yeah.
Without having issues in the clubhouse? I really feel for Dave Roberts. This is going to be a fun ride for him, I'll tell you. But I think the Diamondbacks have the talent to do that.
You can't keep 12 starting pitchers happy. Look at the Yankees. We got a problem keeping our number 6 happy.
Right, exactly.
Without him shooting his mouth off. So exactly. I don't know how the hell the Dodgers are going to find, like, when they just kept signing people, I'm like, Scott Sanders, who pitched for the Padres, is a really good friend of mine. And I texted him, I'm like, where in the hell are they going to find room for all these dudes they signed? Like, someone's got to go to the bullpen. You think Blake Snell's going to the bullpen? Because I don't.
Well, on the other side, look at all the people they put in the bullpen. They basically DFA'd and traded away a guy who was an important piece of their bullpen last year because they just didn't have room for him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, were any of the people they picked up that big of a leap over Ryan Brazier that they had to, pay what, $20 million for a left-handed reliever that's probably not going to close there?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
It's nice to have money, but how do you keep everybody happy?
Exactly.
I just can't wait to see all the deferred contracts completely send them into financial ruin. When
you're talking to the wrong guy. That happened to this franchise. They almost went bankrupt.
I know.
Paying off the 2001 World Series team.
Yeah, well, you sell your soul to the devil. They haven't won 1 cent. So.
Yes, true. This is true. Got there.
Yeah,
we don't need to talk about that. That's the worst night of my life.
Rough year for us. Now, my bold prediction for this upcoming season doesn't feel quite as bold as the take that you made, but I think Corbin Carroll steals 75 bases. I think that what he can mean for this franchise, and with the rule changes, the bigger bags, I think the less throwovers. I think 75 is something that he's definitely going to be able to be within reach for him, maybe even potentially more than that.
I agree. There is no more joy than be sitting in Chase Field and watch a ball go into the gap after you hit it, because you have no idea where he's going to. Is he going to be second, third? Hell, is he going to turn the corner and take it home? It's the whole stadium goes quiet when that happens. And then as soon as he makes that turn on right, or makes that left turn at first, it erupts. It's incredible to have a player with that kind of excitement on the team. Not many have him.
That is very true. He's a special talent for sure. Now, speaking of the offensive talent within the ranks of the Diamondbacks, when we look at this series, we like to kind of grade out the offense. And how would you grade the offense for the Diamondbacks heading into the 2025 season?
I'd give it a B. My biggest question with the offense is going to be, do they revert back to the 23 style where basically they were chaos? They took extra bases, they put pressure on the defense. At times last year, the offense, even though it was by runs scored, it was the best in the game by 44 runs. Relied on the long ball way too much. And there were a lot of games where they just pummeled the opponent and would win by 10, 12, 14, even up to 14 runs. And then other days they couldn't put a run on the board. I'd rather them be in the 24 frame of mind where whatever it takes to score a run, that's what they're going to do. And if they do that, they're a solid A team, because that team can fly almost all the way up and down. I mean, take out maybe Naylor, Eugenio can still run, Gurriel can still run, everybody else can fly. So why they would shift away from that kind of offense confused me a bit, but I could see them going back to it with the way it's lining up now.
I mean, it's what got them to the World Series 2 years ago. So I don't know why they would deviate from that kind of play to begin with, unless they just got lucky. Because when they went through that National League playoffs and made it to the World Series, I was like, they knocked off some pretty heavy teams to get there. So
and the thing that people didn't understand about that team is they didn't have anything to lose.
Oh, of course
Nobody
not.
expected them to be there, and they just put pressure on teams that had pressure. So
yeah,
why they wouldn't go back to that, I don't know. One of the keys to that, I think, is going to be what they do in center field. They've invested so much into the pitching staff. I don't see how they can leave Jake McCarthy out there. Decent outfielder, he can cover the ground, but when you have somebody who's elite like Alec Thomas, if he's healthy, he's got to play.
100%.
He cuts the gaps down to a minuscule size, and I don't understand how they would possibly go the other route with the rest of the offensive pieces they have and not try to get that defense settled down.
Well, the thing with McCarthy, like I remember at the 2022 offseason, the Yankees were looking at acquiring him because we needed outfielders, and this was before, we got Soto and the year before we got Soto and Grisham, and I was all for his defense, but he can't hit. His batting average his offense just isn't there, unfortunately, and that seems to be a growing problem, not just with him, but just a lot of players in general. You look at people like Joey Gallo and how they've somehow have lingered around Major League Baseball for 10 years, batting $189 and striking out nearly 40% of their at bats.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Jake is he makes contact, but it's soft. And if it doesn't find holes, he's an easy out. Last year he found a few more holes than he did the year before, but he's a good corner outfielder. But if he's our center fielder, we're not going to go anywhere. Not that I can.
What did they do? Move Alec Thomas to left?
No. Well, you've got Gurriel on left, Carroll on right.
Okay.
And Thomas was out most of last year with leg injuries.
Gotcha.
If he's healthy and back, he's got to be there. I don't really. Not that I don't like Jake. Great fourth outfielder. Short period of time, you can put him in any of those three positions. But if he's your starter in center field, like it showed last year, there were balls hit out to center field that the year before you just get up and go grab a drink because that's an out. Innings over. And last year, not so much. Not so much. But Alec can fly, and he's got pop. He hits the ball hard. The only problem is it's always on the ground.
Right.
But he's going to be an important part of the offense this year. He's got to be. And you put him and Perdomo at the 8 and 9 spot like they did in 24 or in 23, that's frightening for a team. Because then either of those get on, you're going to flip their order back up to Carroll, Marte, Gurriel. That's frightening. It's a deep lineup.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it can be a very, very powerful lineup in terms of the balance that it has between those power guys, between that element that they have for sure. Now, as we look and transition towards the pitching staff, how would you grade out the pitching staff for this year?
Going into the season, it's an A. I mean, I talked about the Dodgers with their problem with false starting pitchers. Diamondbacks have 7. And that's just got to have regular turns in the rotation over the last 2 years and adding Burns. I don't know how they're going to shake that out. I think most of the winter they were trying to shop Montgomery. And but just going by name power, if your starting rotation is Burns, Gallen, Montgomery, Eddie Rodriguez, and Jordan Montgomery, that's pretty deep. That's pretty frightening. If Montgomery bounces back, but that's
I
solid.
do too.
That's a solid rotation.
I think Montgomery bounces back. Like the reason why he had such a bad season is because he shot himself in the damn foot with holding out for this massive contract that he just
wasn't going
to get. I mean, that was the biggest problem. Even with Snell, with all those guys that held out for as long as they did, they had horrible seasons because now you're going through an accelerated spring training. You got to go down to the minor leagues and somehow build yourself up to be able to throw 6-7 innings and throw what you're used to throwing mid-90s or so. And, that's what I think his biggest downfall is because we as Yankee fans know that, like, he is not a bad pitcher. When he was in New York, they just couldn't score runs for him for whatever reason. They would score runs, like 10 runs for Cole, and then it would come Montgomery's time in the rotation. They would score like 1 or 2 and get blown out 7-2. 8-2, whatever it was. So he's, like I said, he's not a bad pitcher. He just needs run
Oh.
support and doesn't need to sit home the entire offseason waiting for a $300 million contract to fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
So
Well, he's not that pitcher, and I don't know
no,
how he thought. I mean, Scott Boras must be really good.
it was his agent. Let's be real. Like,
because he had to know he's not that pitcher. He's not
Yeah.
going to get it.
Boris always
he's a
tries.
number 4 or
Yeah.
5 at best.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what he's been his whole career.
He could probably be a solid 3, but
Yeah, I think
that's
depending
what he
on
is. You know, he's not an ace. He shouldn't be making the money he's making. But you know, like Erod's making 20 a year. I can see that because when he's healthy, he's going to give you 180, 200 innings, and he's going to keep you in the ball game. Is he going to win a Cy Young? No. Is he going to win your team a lot of games? Yeah. That's the same thing that Montgomery is, you know, but just doesn't quite have the stuff that Erod does.
Right.
Caught him
Yeah.
last year because a couple ticks down on the fastball, so there was no separation between that and the change. Yeah, he was in trouble.
So, in examining the 2025 team, what do you believe is the biggest question mark for the Diamondbacks?
It's center field. If they play McCarthy out there, I don't think they're going to be as good a team as they could be. It's got to be Thomas. That's the biggest question. If he's healthy and able to give them 140, 150 games, this team's going to be next unbeatable. Because their biggest downfall in outfield defense last year was gaps, and Thomas makes those go away. It doesn't matter whether it's in Chase, whether it's in Coors, whether it's in Petco, all the big center fields out here. The difference between a win and a loss can be his glove.
For sure.
But other than that, I mean, I'm excited. This is a really solid team. This is probably the deepest team they've had since I've been a Diamondback fan, and that includes the 2001 team. Now, that team had a lot more high-end talent than this one does, but this one's deep. It can beat you many ways.
Well, yeah, that was an expansion draft.
Well, actually, that was let's see how far in debt we can make our franchise.
I imagine.
They paid, what was it? I think they had 14 or 15 contracts that they finally finished off paying sometime in the 2010s.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Wasn't it? Not to mention Bernard Gilkey, who I think they finally stopped paying in 2018.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
But getting back to your point about having a strong center fielder, like strong teams are built through the middle, right? Your catcher, your shortstop, your second baseman, your center fielder. You have a weak link at any of those 4 positions, and it's just a bad day. So
yeah, you know, and with the Diamondbacks, you have up the middle, you have Moreno, Marte, who really improved defensively last year. That was incredible to watch. You know, Perdomo, who's as solid as they come, not flashy, but solid. As a Yankee fan, he's Didi Gregorius. He'll make all the plays, but is he going to be flashy and make people go, "Holy shit"? No, that's not how he plays. You know, and then if you put Thomas in center, man, that's strong. That might be the strongest up the middle of the division. When you think about it, do they have the name power? No, but that's a pretty up the middle.
It's definitely a formidable middle of the order for sure. Middle of the. And so I kind of wrapped up here. When it comes to the Diamondbacks 2025 team, what do you think is the biggest frustration?
It may be depth. Losing Newman was a huge piece last year, and with him being off the Angels, may God rest his soul, they're kind of short on middle infield backup. They traded for Gray Kessinger from the Astros. Not impressed, but I wasn't impressed with Newman last year either. But you know, so take that as it is. But that's the thing that worries me the most. I'd say the biggest Achilles heel this team could have is failing to fill that position. Now they have a guy who fired through the minors the last couple of years, Tom Fowler, who could play everywhere and has played everywhere. the catcher. Are they going to give him a chance, or are they going to go with one of the veterans? I'm not sure, but we have to make sure we got somebody to fill that backup infield role, because Marte is going to need time off his feet, and that's a given. You can't have those hamstrings go crazy. You never know what's going to happen with anything. He could be hot as a firecracker like he was the second half of last year, or he can be close to being DFA'd like he was in the first half. And you need somebody who can slide in and help, give him downtime and days off. But that's the one place that scares me. I mean, Blaze Alexander's got thunder in his bat, but he strikes out at over a 35% clip, and although he's got a powerful arm, that glove is suspect. So suspect they may be moving him to the outfield. And you've got Kessinger, and I can't remember the player's name. They picked him up. He used to be at the Rockies, but he's another guy who can play all over the field, and has speed. But I don't know if he's the answer either. That's the one that's the biggest Achilles heel of this team is going to be that backup in the field. I really hope they fill it.
Now, so as we close out here, using kind of the title of this series, what do you believe is the state of the franchise going into the 2025 campaign?
This is a World Series championship caliber team. They can win a ring if everything goes right. If you think about it, they made it through the postseason 2023 with 3 starters, basically, and one of them that was kind of up and down. But this bullpen is different, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons I'm so excited. Diamondback bullpens forever under Hazen were known as outgetters, but not getting throw fear into anybody. You get in the late innings now, and all of a sudden you have Justin Martinez, AJ Puck, and those guys throw hard, and it's ugly. I mean, Martinez has a 99-mile-an-hour sinker?
Yeah.
And he was working on a splitter? Yikes. I think this is a team that can win the championship. I think they can win the World Series. If they were in the American League West instead of the National League West, they'd run away with it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be close. But unfortunately, they're playing with the Dodgers, and although they've been beat up a little bit, the Padres are still right there. Who knows what the Giants would be like? Not sure. But I think this team, for the foreseeable future, even if they lose Gallen and or Kelly, the free agency at the end of this season, I think they're going to be right there contending for the World Series for the foreseeable future. Mike Hazen has done a hell of a job with this team. I mean, it took him a while, but he built it. And every single one of the players on this team fits this team, which at times in the past, maybe not so much. But this franchise is going to be around for a while, guys. Get used to it.
No, for sure. They're definitely a good team, and a lot of young players who are going to be capable of some really amazing things. So for sure. So we want to thank you for joining us, Rick. We really appreciate the time here. Let everybody know where they can get more of your Diamondbacks takes.
Well, I'm transitioning out of some social media at the moment. You can find me on Twitter. I don't even know my handle anymore. I had it somewhere. Let me look it up for you real quick.
We'll plug that in there for you. But yeah, so mostly Twitter, then they can find you for your Diamondbacks takes then, right?
Yeah. Twitter would be the best place to find me.
100%. So we definitely want to thank you for joining us. As always, make sure you check out our merchandise shop. If you're joining us here on the YouTube side of things, we will have that on screen here. But if you're on the audio side, on Printify, so Baseball Banter merch.printify.me, you'll be able to find us there and be able to pick up and support the show. So for Dave, for Rick, and for myself, this has been another installment of the State of the Franchise here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast. So thank you guys for checking us out. On the YouTube side, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell for post notifications. On the audio side, make sure you leave a 5-star rating and review, as it does help us continue to grow the channel. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.